Hey, Harry, great to have you on the No Code MBA YouTube channel. Harry is the founder of Imaginary Space, an agency building with Lovable, make real revenue. And today we're going to talk about the agency, how much money Harry's making building Lovable apps, the challenges that he's coming across, and a lot more. So really excited to have you here, Harry.
Thanks, Seth. Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. Hi, Rupa. I'm an AI consultant for the enterprise industry. We've been building with Lovable for the last year and just seen like crazy growth using this tool. So I'm excited to share as much as possible.
Well, I guess just to start for people who don't know you, or maybe just to get people excited, how much revenue are you currently making building with Lovable?
Yeah, so as it stands, we're doing about 100,000 a month. And we're on track to do 1.2 million by the end of the year, but that could grow. And it's probably the most success we've ever seen with our agency. Honestly, it's just been crazy the last few months, the amount of growth and being able to grow the team from that, and it's just really exciting space to be in. Honestly,
That's amazing. And what kind of apps are you building with Lovable for clients? Is there a specific type, or does it just run a variety of things?
yeah, we have like two veins of like clients. One is enterprise, and then one is startup. So like some of the apps we're building are like more about B2C. So it's like we're building an ed tech platform in Dubai right now for a really big Arabic speaking school. And then on the other hand, we're working with Dude Wipes, which is kind of like a household name in the US, building like internal tools for them to help speed up their processes. So kind of spread across the two. We're still figuring out what we want to do like long term, but mainly it's this idea of like how can you build a rapid prototype of something in like 30 days. That's kind of our like offer we have on the site right now, and just like getting product into people's hands so that they can start giving feedback and building upon that fast. We like to think that in comparison to like normal agencies, we're a lot faster and a lot cheaper thanks to all of these AI tools.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, I'm on your site right now. So the idea, and is that what most people are reaching out to you about? They like that message and they want to say, okay, let's build something quickly and more affordably. And that's kind of the message that people are resonating with.
Yeah, because I think the basis of it is like we've all built, or like I say we've all built, but a lot of people have built software projects in the past, and they've had like the same teething problems. Like either it takes 6 months to get a product out, or it's going to cost them $120,000 to build it. Whereas like we all know now with these new tools, Bolt, Replit, Cursor, Vibe coding, that you can like 10x your output, and thanks to that, we're able to offer clients like this quick turnaround, and it seems to me that like as long as you can make sure you still hit quality in those kind of turnaround times, like it you can really make a big impact for a business. Especially if it's a startup founder and they're like, okay, I want to test an idea and get it out there quickly and figure out if it works or not, you know.
Right, right. Totally. Because it's about, at the end of the day, it's about what they're getting. Doing it more quickly is better also.
I mean, everybody loves that, right? You tell them you can do something quicker, they're like, okay, let's sign up.
Right, right. And are you only using Lovable or using other AI tools? How are you, what's your workflow there?
Yeah, so like just talking about Stack, it's Lovable, Superbase, and then Savala for like deployment. And then Cursor for like small little code edits. But I like to think that we probably do like 80 to 90% of our work in Lovable. And probably like 80 to 90% of the code base is written by AI as well. Crazy time that we're in.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And so sometimes, so you'll take the code base and maybe do some edits in Cursor, maybe some human edits, a small amount, but it's mostly that Lovable editor.
Yeah, and then the agent's really good in Cursor, so 9 times out of 10 you're prompting that to make the edits as well. So like in regards to like your audience and the no code MBA, like it's probably the perfect fit because you don't have to write any code at the end of the day. You just do your thing.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And that's a similar workflow to what I've been using lately is starting in Bolt or Lovable, a lot of Lovable lately. And then, yeah, so, maybe moving it onto Cursor or Windsurf just for some and using the agent, like you said. So it's pretty much the same workflow as Lovable, just on slightly more complex platform. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And do people so people are reaching out to you. Do they know that it's built in Lovable? Like, is that what they want? Like, have they seen you and they see that you build in Lovable and that's why they're reaching out to you?
Yeah.
Or what's that conversation like with clients?
I think like one of the benefits that we've done, that one of the initiatives that we've kind of pushed the last year is just making as much content and relationships as we can. And that seems to have worked really well in terms of people seeing that we know what we're talking about and then being like, okay, I trust this guy. People watch your YouTube videos, I'm sure, and they trust you, and any other content creators. So that's really helped. And then what's interesting actually, Seth, is that some of these founders are coming to us and they've already built like their own mock-up front end in Lovable, and they've kind of put together their ideas and they can show us like what they kind of want, but they struggle with, how do I connect everything? How does everything work together? What are like some of the trends in UI that I should be following? What are some like best practices? So like we find a lot of the time now we're meeting these really cool founders who have done a lot of work already, and they just need help with like that last 60%, but they've done a lot of prep work beforehand. Um,
Yeah,
and then on the other hand, some people have never heard of Lovable, but it's I used to be like a Webflow developer before, and like what you would do when you were selling the new technology is you show it. So, just showing like how easy it is to run a prompt or like create a project. And nine times out of ten, though, it's mainly us that are saying like we should use Lovable, and that's just like obviously personal preference, but also we know how good the technology is. So like we'd be doing our clients a bit of a disservice if we said don't use it.
right, right, totally. And at the end of the day, the final product is code. It's not like you're even selling. It seems like it's maybe even easier than selling something like Bubble or a different no code tool where you're locked in because you're not. You
Mm.
just have code and you can do anything that you want with it afterwards.
Yeah, and I mean you've touched it. I'm sure you've had like loads of aha moments using like Lovable and Bolt and just seen like the benefits, right?
Totally, yeah, 100%. Yeah, and okay, so I think that one of the things that people are thinking about now that with Lovable and these and tools like this are, they've tried it out. They've probably seen some people building apps with it. Uh, the vibe coding trend of this is amazing. You can build stuff. But I think that where people get overwhelmed or skeptical is, can you actually build, how can you actually turn this into production apps that handle security, that handle all of the things that a company would need to actually, you know, put something into the hands of users. So I'd love to hear more about your process with Axe. Obviously, as an agency, that it has to be more than just like a simple thing. It has to actually be a full working app. So um yeah, curious if you could speak to that and kind of talk about the process there.
Yeah, so for us, because we work with a lot of like financial companies, we're always making sure that we understand the underlying technology. I think a lot of people and the mistakes that they can make are that they don't understand how Superbase works. They don't understand how RLS works, which is Superbase's version of a file, to put it simply. And I think like
Yeah.
just for people to, even if they don't want to understand the code, right, just understand the platform and like how things piece together will add so much to your process. I talk a lot about it, but like some people, will be using Lovable or other tools, and maybe they'll deploy some stuff or make some changes and they're not really sure what the agent is doing. I think just having a general overview of like what it's doing and how it's working and putting stuff together really helps. And then, just having a list of like the things you want in your app that you want to build, like are humans and we are creative, and sometimes we can go into this process of like doing lots. It's like a huge mess afterwards, and you've gone one direction, then you go another, and like we always try and make sure of our clients that before we even start building, we just have like a super clear picture of like where are we trying to go and what are we trying to build, and what are like the five core things that like it needs at the end of the day.
Right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like there's no inherent reason why Lovable can't build a production app. It's writing code. It's just a matter of the person using it understanding the technology, like you said. And if you don't understand it, then yeah, you might leave an API key exposed or something like that. But there's no reason that's going to happen with any inexperienced developer,
Yes.
whether it's AI or not AI.
Yeah, and like I think a lot of people question as to like whether Lovable can hold up. We launched a startup last year called Renamify.co, which got top 10 on Product Hunt, and we had 7,000 users on the launch day, and nothing broke, thankfully. And like I feel like maybe some people are hesitant, but Superbase is a super strong tool. Lovable does write like pretty decent code, nothing amazing. So I wouldn't be scared if anybody's watching us. Like, you know, just make sure you know what the AI is doing in a simple sense.
And is your background in software development, or are you come from a non-technical background? Where are you come from?
Yeah, I guess I was like a developer when I was like 16 to 19 years old, just like playing games and like hacking stuff. Got a job as a developer, writing a bit of code, but it was never really my thing. So I went into website design and I was more of a designer. Then I got into automations and started playing around with like these no code platforms to do automations for clients. And then really like over the last year of using Lovable and the exposure to stuff, I found that I've learned React and I've learned SQL, and like it's just been really helpful to be able to read code, even if I
Yeah,
don't know how to like write it, from scratch. At the very least, I can kind of read what's going on and be like, okay, this is kind of the right way, or like, oh, you've made that mistake there, and just like helping the assistant, you know,
yeah,
as need be.
yeah. Makes sense. I think that's a good era, like that background of just like building software, whether it's like no code or code or kind of having that going in. I think that ties in to kind of exactly what you were talking about before, just like understanding how apps are built, like how are they structured,
Yeah.
how is a database connect to the front end, to the back end, all these things. I've also found similarly that like the more I'm building with tools like Lovable, like I'm like just learning
Yeah.
how it works, like how the folders like set up, how does the code kind of work together, even though I can't write it myself.
Yeah, and that's it, right? Just like understanding how it's piecing it together. But I think Lovable's long-term goal is at some point we won't even need to be developers in some sense. Like hopefully the AI will just be able to take care of everything and, you know, massage us through the process and that'll be it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So that leads me into another thought of where so where do you find the AI struggles now, or and are there areas of like certain API connections or certain uh whatever it is where like you start to run into issues, and like how do you overcome that with AI coding that you found so
Yeah. I think it's that basis of like building really big apps. A problem with AI at the moment is they only have so much context that they can take in and spit out. So you find as you get to these really big projects that sometimes it might struggle to edit stuff. There's also like that piece on the AI just deleting stuff randomly. And I think
Mhm.
it's taking these small steps and being very precise with your changes that will help you. A lot of people will start a Lovable project and like write a huge prompt and like a huge requirements file. And I think it's much better to stick to this idea of like small steps, small concise edits, and just try and keep your changes to like a very thin vein, because unfortunately right now AI isn't like the superpower we want it to be. And it can't just spin up like an app in one prompt. You need to kind of take it slow. And that's why I try and teach my students a lot. Like, can you just like think a little bit more like sequentially and step by step in that case?
Got it. And what do you do if you're in a situation where like it just seems stuck, like that you're trying over and over to be as simple as possible, but it's not working? Like, what do you do at that point as a
Yeah,
developer?
Y Combinator released a really cool podcast the other day about AI tools and how they're using vibe coding at the moment. And I really like this idea of re-rolling. So like it's that idea of like if you're stuck, just restoring to a previous checkpoint where it was working and then trying again. And that's really uncommon in the development world because usually you're sort of coding, you're going to fix the bug. But now because it takes a couple of seconds to like spin up another version of what you're doing, it's really easy just to like hit that restore checkpoint, go back to when it was working, re-roll again, maybe change your approach, and just don't feel like you're stuck or go down the rabbit hole, like so many people cry about wasting credits with Lovable and stuff, but I bet if they just like followed that process of being able to let go and give up and try again, they'll succeed a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. Yeah. Don't keep trying to like do something that's not working.
Yeah.
Start over, which is probably good advice for life in general. Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. I don't think you drive yourself a bit crazy if you're like on a bug for like 5 hours when you know you could have just re-rolled it and maybe fixed it.
Right. Yeah. That makes complete sense. Something else I'm curious. So I'm assuming you have a bit of a team now. You have quite a few clients you're working with. At the same time, Lovable is quite a new tool. So is this something where like you're working with people and then training them internally on how to build? Are you finding developers and training them? Are you finding people who already are doing this on their own? Like what does that look like from an agency perspective on your side?
Yeah, great question. I think we still try to hire like traditional front end developers just because, as I said, it's good if you know how to recode and it's good if you can jump into the project and fix a bug with cursor or something like that a bit more manually. But we're really focusing on this idea, and I think Sahil Levang from Gumroad kind of talked about it. It's like design engineers. So it's like guys who know, or girls who know how to code and they know how to how to design a little bit so that they can produce something beautiful. um, and what we tend to find is like when you give a developer this tool, first there's the aha moment of like, oh my God, this is sick, it's speeding up everything. But also like after a week or two, they kind of know how to use the platform and we can share our tips and like prompts that work and stuff and try and help them out. But I find that most developers they get it pretty quickly, honestly, and they seem
Yeah.
to do well.
Yeah. Got it. That makes sense. So just hire developers who already know how it all works. And then, okay, now let's use this tool that's going to make you work 10 times more quickly.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We, cool. That makes sense. And at this point, are you doing any developing or are you just kind of taking it more of a business side of things in the agency?
Yeah, I'm very grateful that the team can like help me out. I'm trying to focus on growing and doing sales and all of that stuff, but I still do a fair bit of development, maybe on like the more complex projects. And I find it's really good to have that knowledge. Like if you ever walk into a sales meeting and you can be like technical and also sell, like it really helps, you can talk directly to their questions. You don't need somebody else to answer them for you. And you can kind of take the lead on that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes complete sense. Um, cool. This is getting me excited to keep building in Lovable.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah, dude.
So yeah, and I feel like something just a thought that came to me, like if you're watching this video and you want to get started with like even just on a small scale, doing some freelancing with Lovable, like I feel like the first step is just build a cool project for yourself. And then you have that, just like what you said, like what's the best way to get a client, like show them what you built, show them how cool it is and how powerful it can be. And I feel like it's more accessible than ever to people to get started with this stuff.
And that's kind of like how I started, really. I was using the project in alpha last March or February and was just building lots of projects for myself and then happened to share it to like a couple of clients that I already had or like new people who were getting in touch and they saw the benefit and the value in it and they were instantly ready to work. And it's like, I think a lot of people try and sell before they prove that they can build something. I can say this a lot to everybody who's watching, but if you build it, they will come. And if you post on Twitter every day a lovable app that you've made or a little project, at some point somebody will pick that
That's
up and say, "Hey, I need some help."
Yeah, that's another great strategy. Just like go on Twitter every day or every week. Just say, hey, new project, new project, new project.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna get
yeah.
clients from that.
Hell yeah,
Uh,
hell yeah. It's a lot better than just saying like cold DMing. I've seen these strategies where you just like cold DM 100,000 people, but it's like, where's the value that you can
right,
provide there?
right. So where do you see the future of this? How big can this agency get? Like, what are your goals? And moving forward.
Yeah, I think we would love to just carry on with the mantle that we're the number one lovable agency in the world, and continuing to work with clients. I think the interesting part for us is figuring out like where is the sweet spot for lovable in terms of clients and which people get the most, like which clients get the most value out of it. Is it enterprise? Um is it these other kind of companies? But like, I've seen other traditional software development agencies do tens of millions in revenue. rather than just a million. So for me, sky's the limit. And as it continues to grow, as it continues to get a buzz, I think the people who learn and become experts in these AI tools are going to see the benefit. And the developers and people who don't, jump on this wave right now, I think they're going to fall behind. So, for people who are watching, if you can learn these tools, I think it's a great advantage for you in the future.
Yeah, yeah, that makes complete sense. And what is one thing running an agency that most people don't realize? Like, if you've never run an agency before, what's something that people might not understand?
Always turn up to the meeting with a presentation and have a plan. Because a lot of the time people don't, and you need to make sure that your client feels like they're looked after, they know where you're at in schedule and where they should give feedback. And I think my success has always been that every single meeting there's a presentation to run a client through. And maybe a lot of people don't realize that, but when you just turn up to a call and you're just asking questions, you're like, so guys, what do you think? It's a little bit awkward. But if you have a really tight presentation that you can take them from a start to an end point, and then the meeting can end, your clients feel like they're in good hands and they're being looked after. And I think that's probably been the difference between me closing a couple of $1,000s to like a couple $100,000 in a deal.
Well, yeah, super actionable. Yeah. Anything else you want to share about yourself or the agency or where people can find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so Harry Mackay Ropo on all social platforms. I've also got a course on Lovable if you want to try that out. It's a classwithharry.com. If you want to learn a little bit about some of the things I've learned over the last year. And yeah, on YouTube as well, Harry Mackay Ropo. And I do loads of live streams with the Lovable team, so go follow them, check them out, and yeah, follow Seth as well. And the No Code MBA.
Cool. Awesome. Great. Well, it's great to have you on, Harry. And yeah, excited to see how everything grows over the next year or so.
Thank you.
Thanks.